Hey everyone, welcome to Let's Dream Podcast Episode 9. This is Lee.
And I'm Casey Lucid. How's it going, everyone?
Hey, welcome everyone. Alright, so for Episode 9, we have, for you all today, our dream stories that people have shared with us. So getting right into it, here's the first dream from a username, the Bean Emperor. They had dreamt that they were on top of a building and they were sitting down looking out at the landscape. The setting was a futuristic Earth, and from where the dreamer was sitting, they could see a gigantic creature walking around. The creature was strolling through the city, and it was red in color with tentacles coming out of its head and horns down its back. The dreamer emphasized that the most impressive feature of this dream creature was that it was taller than a skyscraper.
Cool. All right. I love that imagery. That's really cool. Okay, well, the next dream that we have is from someone with the username You Drunk Bitch, and this was an interesting one. This is what they write. I'm sitting on the floor in my living room playing with my baby girl, and suddenly I hear, "Okay ma'am, this package requires a signature." I figure my package got here early and the delivery guy is at the front door, but I have the door closed, so how could I possibly hear him that well? Then I hear again, "Ma'am, could you please sign here?" Where was he? It sounds like he's in my house. Suddenly, the delivery guy walks out of my bedroom. Excuse me, I shout. What the hell are you doing in my bedroom? How did you get in my house? Okay, ma'am, if you'll just sign the package, I can be on my way. Why are you in my house? Said the dreamer. He looks up and doesn't realize he's indoors and walks out my front door. Alrighty, ma'am, if you could just sign here. How did you get in my house? How do I know this is even my package? Delivery guy looks down at the box that he's holding. Then he presses a button on his clipboard, and suddenly a flashing red light appears over a house down the street. Ah, you have a good day, ma'am. And then he shuffles down from my porch. And that's the end of that dream.
What?
Yeah. So that's a really good example of how realistic dreams can be, and then something really kind of like just a little off, and it's like you realize something is off, but you might not necessarily realize you're dreaming. But that was cool.
I really did not expect it to go that way. It started out somewhat normal and then it just descended.
Yeah.
Or escalated. I'm not sure.
But yeah, that was good. I thank that user for sharing that with us. And what else do you have for us?
Alright, so the next dream is from a user named Bucklaser. They dreamt that it was at night and they were inside their house. And outside through their glass doors, they saw an extremely tall, slender man with gelled, combed-back hair, wearing a gray tuxedo and binoculars which he would use to look straight into the dreamer's soul through its lenses. The dreamer remembers this man standing in front of their garage and right next to their apple tree. The man was grinning and was completely stiff and still, which almost gave a feeling like he was a poster or something like that. The dreamer said that he sort of looked two-dimensional.
Cool. That's a very kind of like sci-fi, almost nightmarish. I love the images that our minds can just come up with. All right, let's see. So the next dream that we have, the user's name is Queen of Wands 2. And this was a very cute kind of dream. So this was a dream that the user that shared with us remembered from when she was a little kid. She said that she remembered dreaming of being in a candy land and everything was made out of candy. The houses, trees, plants, everything was edible. Kind of like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. However, the inhabitants of this land were also made of candy, and they had to kick out the dreamer because they simply could not trust her that she wouldn't eat any of them. The dreamer had tried to explain to them that she wouldn't eat anyone, but the candy people did not listen to her and kicked her out of Candyland.
Oh, that's so sad.
That's so funny though, to think about, like, she was a little kid, so she was dreaming about candy. So that's cool though.
That's pretty cute.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Alright, what's the next one?
We got this one from Commander Poogle. Once I dreamt I was climbing up this rectangular staircase that wrapped around the exterior of a skyscraper. Close to the top, I saw this massive floating head of a woman, old and scarred. Her mouth hung open with this long, pointed tongue hanging out. And the most disturbing part was her right eye that had a second mouth instead of an eye and yellow, crooked teeth.
Ooh. Yeah, that's definitely kind of like I don't know if I'd call that a nightmare, but it would creep me out if I saw that.
And you walked up a whole skyscraper to get there?
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder, like, I wish there was more to the dream. Sometimes I hate when dreams just kind of like cut out and they don't have like a completion to the story arc. But, you know, that's how dreams are sometimes.
I don't think I'd want this one to continue.
Agreed. And then the next dream that we have, this is from username DracoFleet1. So the dream started out with me and my family packing stuff up to go on a family reunion vacation. The drive was on a narrow road next to a lake that was lined with a very small beach. There were no other cars on the road the whole time. Eventually, we ended up at the destination, which was a forest cabin. Somehow, by the time we got there, I was the only one left in the car. It felt normal for some reason, though. Anyway, I approached the cabin and walked in somewhat hesitantly. Inside was my extended family, like my cousins, aunts, and uncles. And also one person who I did not know, and she owned the cabin. I talked to her, and she already knew my name and talked to me like we had always known each other. I found it strange that she was half zombified, but I just didn't mention it. Also, I thought her pet whale was kind of off-putting and disturbing despite nothing about it looking traditionally frightening. Anyway, we took a whole family photo against one of the walls. Someone else photographed, but the owner of the cabin stood with us for the photo. My siblings and parents, who were on the ride in the car, were never at the cabin. Eventually, the family vacation reunion ended, so I left the cabin and walked back to my family's empty car when the dream kind of cut-scened to where we, that is me, my siblings, and my parents, were driving back home on that same road. We decided to take a break and pulled over to walk by the beach. Eventually, out of the water emerged the girl's pet whale levitating in the air. We ran back to the car and sped home as it was chasing us at a frightening speed. We arrived home, and I woke up from the dream. But the dream wasn't actually over. I just thought I woke up because suddenly the whale crashed against my bedroom window, and then I actually woke up. The first half of the dream was quite peaceful, and the second half was very scary. And then the dreamer also goes on to write that apparently a lot of their dreams have their own original soundtrack, which I thought was really cool. But yeah, that's that entire dream.
That one's really cool.
Yeah. I like that it was a complete story. Well, kind of, but...
Kind of. You know, I actually had a dream today. I can't remember it, but I can remember that it was a lot of cuts, and that I had a father that was Zeus.
Nice.
That he looked like one of the from the Disney movie.
Okay.
And everything was so cut together. I wasn't really sure what's going on.
You mean like it kept skipping scenes?
Yeah, sort of. And it's really cool because there was a story definitely in there, and I was definitely battling against somebody, and Zeus was being a deadbeat dad as usual. But, you know, it was just so kind of dilapidated and not together. It's hard to keep track of.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think the most significant dream I remember was actually from most recent significant dream I remember was about 3 days ago. I had this really, really interesting dream where I was in a car, and I don't remember who I was with, but we were driving down this road that was surrounded by trees and mountains, and it was kind of like fall season, you know, where kind of like now where all the leaves are changing. And we were driving down that path, and I was sitting in the seat, and I don't know why, but in the dream, I got this very visceral sense that I was a product of my environment. And it like things kind of made sense to me at that time. It was weird because like I remember thinking, I was looking at the beautiful scenery of nature, and I remember thinking like, wow, nature's so beautiful. How can it produce something like a car, you know? Because I know that people often think that we are separate from nature, but the fact of the matter is that everything we experience on Earth was a product of nature, including the things that humans build, you know, which it's like a weird refining process. And in my dream, I could almost see the process unfold in front of me. And I remember thinking like, oh, wow, like I'm actually a product of this entire environment. It was a really weird, but kind of like cool, very connected feeling dream. I rarely get those. So I remember waking up and when I wrote it down in my dream journal, I felt like a very like cool sense of like, I don't know, peace and I guess uniformity, if that makes sense.
Very harmonious feeling.
Yeah, it was odd.
Cool.
I'm glad. It may have something to do with the fact that I've been listening to a lot of Alan Watts lectures. Yeah.
Feeling peace at home, huh?
Yeah.
You know, that's what I find interesting. So out of all these dreams, most of them kind of played out however the dream played out. But from the user, ya drunk bitch, I'm assuming it's a woman.
Yeah.
In her dream, she realized something was wrong. Like she was conscious of like, hey, what's going on here? This isn't normal. How could you hear somebody that well? That is through the door, you know. So that's very interesting. And just as you said, you kind of felt that you had a realization while inside a dream. I think that's very hard to, you know, experience, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's I love those moments. I love those aha moments because they remind me so much of lucid dreaming. I'm actually kind of upset that I didn't go lucid in that dream, but at the same time, it was a really great dream. So, and I remember it so vividly, so that's fine with me. But it's so, I don't know. It's a very fascinating thing because like that person that went to the cabin that was owned by a half zombie lady, he and I assume it's a he, but they noticed that it was something off, you know, like, hey, she's half zombie, but they didn't stop to think about like, oh, I'm dreaming, or like, this could be a dream. See, I don't know, like, I'm so into the practice of doing like dream checks that oftentimes, like in reality, if something odd happens, I'll immediately just go like, oh, am I dreaming? Am I dreaming? Is this a lucid dream? Like, I'll be at home and I'll be the only one at home and I'll hear something like, you know, like the dishes might shift in the dry rack or something, you know, like something random like that. And I'll be like, oh, is this a dream? Am I lucid dreaming?
That's a strange experience, but I can't say I've had that. I don't think I've ever been able to like interact with my dreams to that extent where I know something is wrong.
Okay.
Because, you know, when you're dreaming, dreams just happen and you're just there for the ride for the most part. I think that's safe to say for a lot of people as well.
Yeah.
And it's just like these small moments that, hey, what is this guy doing in my room? He's supposed to be outside the door. Or, hey, there's a half zombied aunt here. That's normal.
Yeah.
And, you know, you don't really go past further than that. Or you could, but that initial thought of, oh, here's a zombie. That's okay.
Yeah, you know, and I hate how so often dreams, like, you'll notice something is completely off, but then somehow it's like dream logic takes over and it's like, oh, this is weird, but I guess it's fine. And it's like, I think that's like the tipping point where a person is about to go lucid. It's like, wait a minute, this is not right. And then you're like right at that point, and then somehow like dream logic takes over and you're like, I guess this is how things are.
Can you elaborate on how it feels to be lucid?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best thing is kind of like an aha moment. Kind of like if you've ever had a moment where something wasn't making sense and then all of a sudden it clicked. That's kind of how lucid dreaming feels. But also, it's what I imagine, like if you've ever seen like Star Wars and how they use the Force to move things around, I imagine it's something like that where you're like in tune with the Force. If you talk to a lot of lucid dreamers, if you talk to them online, there seems to be almost like a certain tuning, kind of like a radio almost. Like sometimes you're completely in tune with the dream and you feel like you have complete control over it. And at other times it's like, it's kind of fuzzy. Like you can kind of get that feeling, but you don't have complete control over it. But it's a strange feeling, man. It's a great feeling. It's a great strange feling that I think.
But it starts with that aha moment.
Yeah, it's like coming to a realization. It's like, okay, a good example. Well, I don't know if it's a good example, but something that people may be able to relate to. Have you ever been in an altered state of consciousness, regardless of whether it was dreaming or sleeping or drunk or something. And then eventually, like the next day or something, or later on, like hours down the road, you come out of that stupor. Like if you've ever been under anesthesia, as you come out of the anesthesia, you're kind of like, you're still a little loopy, but then, you know, it kind of clears up. You start realizing, oh, okay, I'm in this reality. That's kind of like how lucid dreaming feels, but in reverse. I don't know if that makes sense. Like you come to a realization that you're in a different reality and you have different capabilities there.
Okay, so let's say that I was in that cabin with the family, and you know, I saw that some of the family members were zombified, and then at that moment, if I were to try to be like, wait a minute, this is a dream because you're zombies and zombies don't exist in real life, and at that moment, theoretically, that'd be the aha moment where I could go lucid. Something like that?
Exactly. Yeah, because it's like something feels, you notice that something is off and wrong and different, but then even though everything feels very real, it's like your dream brain is always trying to suck you into its reality and keep you from realizing you're dreaming. Like a good example would be like, I remember, well, I mean, this is kind of like a common one for me is, so when I was little, my aunt had died, but I'll often dream of her. I'll often see her in my dreams, and I almost always immediately know that I'm dreaming. As soon as I see her, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm dreaming. I mean, it's been kind of like a recurring thing for me, so I've kind of like gotten used to it. So like every time that I see her, I know that it's a dream. So it's like almost like my brain just immediately like, because like if you see someone you've known in your life, and then you know that they're dead, but you see them and it feels really, really real, but it's like normal and realistic, but then you realize it's wrong. So it's like your brain is like, oh, I'm dreaming. So that's like a good example, I would say. But yeah, so that was basically the dreams that we thought were kind of interesting that people had shared with us. And if any of our listeners have any dreams that they want to share and be narrated in this fashion, please feel free to send us a message at contact@letsdreampodcast.com, or you could just leave a message on the podcast episode itself, or just anywhere on social media where we're located, Instagram, YouTube. Also, these dreams that we narrated today, we've made art to go along with them. So if you want to see some visuals, to like some drawings to give you an idea of some of the scenery that the dreamers had experienced, there's an artistic rendering of these dreams on our website at the letsdreampodcast.com, and we'll link it in the episode description. But if you want to see, maybe if you're imagining some of the things that we narrated and you want to see if what you were thinking lines up with the artistic rendering, feel free to go to the website and check it out.
All right, and I hope you all enjoyed these dream stories, and we hope to definitely hear from you.
All right, bye-bye.